Morning guys, Mark Ferrasci, ProTech Dog Training. On my way to deliver Eros back to his family. And I'm going to spend some time with him today and get the dog into getting bathed. And he's got 2 or 3 kids that are all about the right age to learn and grow with their animal. So it's going to be kind of a customization, as I always do. I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants. Whatever feels good, I go with. So right now I'm going to go ahead and let them go out in the backyard with me. We're going to give Eros his first bath. I'm going to show them how to trim nails and give them a little education on how to properly bathe an animal. Because the kids are going to be responsible for this dog. So you're trying to imprint the kids towards that direction. But Eros has me thinking a lot, and thinking a lot about how much work I put into producing a product and producing something of quality, and understanding what a dog is all about and their pros and cons. You know, dogs are not a robot. They're a living, breathing animal with a lot of an emotional state, and you have to understand that. And so maturity matters, just like a child. If you have a young child, one of the things you do is you go out to the playground and get them on the swings, and you're doing all that to get the child used to their body and having dexterity and getting past that clumsy I'm falling on my head routine, you know what I mean? And you do all those things with a puppy just like that. And it's not much difference in working with a child. I'll give you a good example of that. How many people out there are parents and had to potty train their kids? Okay, you remember how you went through that trial and tribulation where you actually got stupid and praised the child when he was on the potty? Oh, you went potty? Oh, good girl, you know, whatever it may be. With me, I've got my little pattern of praise that I do with puppies, but man, we just lavish it on. We get stupid with it, right? And you're doing that because you're trying to get the child to learn potty training. And it's not much different from that in a dog. You're setting up a positive and a negative side. Everything outside is all positive. You keep repeating your words so you get vocabulary. You want to go potty? Let's go potty. The dog goes to the bathroom. Good dog! Yay! And that's all positive, right? And then on the inside of the house, you keep the dog's freedom limited so they can't get into trouble and they can't sneak off and go to the bathroom on you, which is what they're going to do. And you try to set up the negative side, which would be a correction, right? And we use startle techniques. The dog's going to squatting right away. No! Loud clap right over thunder, right over their head. Startle the heck out of the dog. Pick them up. Scare the heck out of them. Make that little heart go right through their chest, right? Take them outside with a chastised attitude. Bad dog. You go outside, go potty. Put the dog down and now start talking the dog into going to the bathroom. And if the dog goes, great. If he doesn't, because you've scared the peawads out of him, as I always like to say, the dog will be so tightened up that he won't want to go. Well, you can try to stay out there a little while with him, try to talk him back into it. And so you're working very distinctly on positive and negative. And it's the X's and O's, right? The ones and zeros of the binary dog. It's not much different. And then we've got to think of trauma. You don't want to correct the dog at all when the dog is not do it. They live in the moment. So if I can't catch the dog and the dog goes off and sneaks off, goes to the bathroom, I keep my mouth shut and I keep my whole attitude out of it. I might chastise a little bad dog. Look what you did. Maybe, but I try to stay away from that because dogs do not understand that. They only live in the moment, right? In that exact time. That's why we're always talking about timing being so important. So that's just kind of an overview of the attitude. Now, I've had 2 or 3 dogs over the last couple of years that I've worked, and I've felt like I've done an excellent job in developing that puppy and getting him to a certain stage. And each one of these instances, the customers basically screwed up the dog. And it's because they're overbearing, they don't know what they're doing with the corrections. And I'll give a good example of this. One of my customers was a couple years ago. We had a Neapolitan Mastiff. Beautiful dog. Oh, he was beautiful. And I worked him right along the lines I wanted to work him with, trying to increase his speed and get him to do things fast, because you're fighting that natural instinct of a Mastiff to be real slow. And if you let the dog do that and you miss that imprint time as a puppy, it's a pain in the butt. I don't want a dog to be going, okay, Dad, I'll get to it. And 5 minutes later, they're finally in a down, right? I want things that are quick. If you see Buddha work, you get a good example of that. So even with a large breed, he's got it all conditioned in. Everything's real fast with that explosion release and doing things into speed with everything he does. And I do that at a very young age. You catch that imprint period of a high energy outflow little puppy when they've got all that excitement and that energy to give you, and you imprint it and get it to go on those paths, and then you try to keep it that way for as long as you can as they mature into the real dog they're going to become, right? So the gentleman was really high on all the work that I'd done for him, and he was really happy about it. And he was out partying with a bunch of people, and he had his dog with all kinds of freedom. And it was a young dog, I don't remember how old the dog was, probably about 16 weeks. And he wasn't paying attention, and he expected too much out of the animal, giving him all that freedom and letting him be in a large group of people and kids and everybody running around, and he thought everything was bulletproof, right? Animals are not there. When you least expect it, that something's going to happen. Well, a very precocious little girl, a child, came running on the dog. No, and the child still did it. Went up to the dog real fast and real jerky-like, as children will do, and the dog naturally snapped at its face, okay, because he's not that secure. People don't realize that there's all kinds of fluctuations. Just because you see me doing things and I'm building all this strength doesn't mean the dog can handle that kind of an environment. So the dog snapped at the child's face, broke the skin that was bleeding, and the guy got upset. He was drinking a few beers, and he went over and he kicked the shit out of the dog, okay? He ruined the dog. The dog, at those stages in life, imprinted that dog, and boom, for the rest of the dog's life, he was afraid of men, he was insecure, totally not the same dog that I had been building and taking that piece of clay. Remember what I always say, I talk about it all the time, that puppies and dogs are like molding and shaping a piece of clay, right? And if you ever think about it in this analogy, you got somebody out there that's throwing a bowl on a wheel, and he's working a piece of clay, and he's got himself so good at it that he can pretty much make anything, a bowl, a cup, whatever it may be, and he's spinning it on that round table that they use for working with clay, right? Now an amateur comes up there with no dexterity and no skill at all in their hands, and they end up touching the bowl, and the bowl falls apart and hits the ground. So that's the sort of thing we're talking about. That's skill, right? The person that's already understands how to throw a bowl, how to do a cup or whatever, make this object, and it works for them. And then you get the amateur going over there, and they try to learn it, and boom, they touch it with one finger and it falls apart on them, right? So that's the same thing. The person's skill level, their experience level with this animal is nowhere near what I have with all the years of experience that I've got. So now you try to communicate, you try to teach the customer, and they still are who they are. They have a long day, they've got some stress going on, they come home, the animal does something wrong, and they lay into the animal, and they affect that animal every time they do something like this, right? And they can ruin a dog in a heartbeat, right? So it's something that we have to come to grips with as professionals, that this is going to happen. We're going to try to avoid it. We're going to try to educate our customer the best we can by giving them knowledge and sitting there yakking at them like I'm doing with you folks. But no matter what I say, it doesn't take away of how you are and your personality in general, as far as what you are going to go through in life, and how you deal with things. Do you have a temper? Do you have stressful days and you take it out on your kids, or you take it out on your wife? I mean, these are things that I have no control over, right? And so if you end up doing something in the wrong way, you're going to ruin the dog. And all the work that I put into this, trying to make a perfect product and produce a perfect product, goes to hell in a handbasket because I'm affected by my customer. And there's nothing I can do about that, When I first just got Buddha back, he's been back with the owners about a month, and I got him back, and I sensed all kinds of something's going on at home. I have to have a talk with him, but all right, I'm at McDonald's. I need to order. I thank you very much. Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Trainer, on my way to deliver Eros. We're going to pick up the subject again. Talk to you later.